Well, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Today you did Taishan. 4,000 steps up, 4,000 steps down. But today I'm only talking about the 4,000 steps up because it's one of the hardest things you ever did in those last 300 steps. Straight up. Coming to that gate after having gone, 3,000, 3,500 steps and looking up and realizing, holy moly, how do I get up there? Because those of us who are at the top are watching men and women who are on hands and feet, all fours, going up those last few hundred steps. Not on hands and knees, but hands and feet, looking down, walking like dogs, like animals, because it's the only way they could get to the top. So, when you drive a car, it's a lot of fun. But there are advantages of the car that you didn't have on the mountain. For instance, Mrs. Prescott, if I give you a car to drive, but you can only go forward, I take away reverse so you can never back up. What kind of problems are you going to experience while you're driving, parking, just maneuvering the car if you can always only go forward?
It would be very difficult. It would be impossible to. It would make driving very hard because we need reverse when we drive.
Why? So you get in a position where you've got a pole behind you, or a car or a bus is parked in behind you, and one is parked in front of you, and you have very little room. What can you do? If you don't have reverse, what are your options?
Your options are just sit there, go forward, or crash into something, or there are no options really. You need reverse.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you understand, I took reverse away from you today. I told you that once you start up the mountain, there's no going back. You can stop. You can stop for a little while, but there's no going back. Because see, Mr. Williams, he's carrying the baby. He's carrying the first aid kit. He's the wilderness surgeon on the trip. So he has to be the last one up on the mountain, because we can't guarantee there'll be cell phone coverages, even if you've all got cell phones. We can't guarantee that we'll be able to find you, because I told you before we went, there are thousands, even on a Monday, thousands and thousands and thousands of people going up and down this mountain. And if you get behind Mr. Williams, we have no idea where you are. There's 43 of you. Even the first year we brought 22. If only one gets behind, it's not possible to search. Hopefully we all get down to the bottom area where we started and there's an opportunity to find you. But there's too much risk. So I took reverse away from you and you could only go forward. That presented a problem. No matter what you were deciding, you had to take the next step. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the way life is. When you took the first step up that mountain today, that was the day you were born. You lived a whole life today. You went through all kinds of difficult places. There were a lot of easy places, beautiful, scenic, take pictures of flowers. Some people may have even stopped and take pictures of you. There were places to buy water. There were places to buy fruit. There were walls to sit on, watching the waterfalls. And then there were places, because those stairs, they're different heights, they're different depths, they're different angles. Some are very slick. There are places that it took your concentration to walk. I mean, you couldn't just run. You had to pay attention to what you were stepping on, because if you missed one, you're in a lot of trouble. You're in more trouble if you go down, but if you're not paying attention, you can get hurt. And then you turn a corner, and there are lots of corners. And you think, well, surely I've done 3,000 steps by now. And there's this long stretch in front of you, and you think, we're crying out loud, I'm nowhere near the end. And you just have to keep going on because I won't let you go back. That's the way life is. You don't get to do it over. Every day that you want to do something over, the only thing you can do is plan to do it better next time. Pay more attention. Be more kind. Be more considerate of others. Make better decisions. This is the only option you have, because everything you've done is now history. All that mountain behind you, all the steps you had facing forward, you could turn around and look back. That's your past. You can't undo it. I won't let you go back. There's no redoing it. You don't have time. It's life. And no matter how many twists and turns you take, some of them are uglier than others, you still have to deal with the stuff that's ahead. That's the only option you have. That's just like your life and my life. Today is almost gone. Did Tyshawn this morning. We let you play this afternoon. We did dinner. We let you do a little shopping. In a few minutes, we're going to let you play in this park as much as you can without knocking over little old Chinese ladies. But you have to remember, this day is almost gone. It's embedded in your memory, but you don't get to live it over. You can go up Tyshawn again, but you can never do it the first time. And so, then you come to the gate. You know what it looks like standing at that gate, because I've been telling you for months. When you come to the gate, you're looking almost straight up. This is the only section that has handrails on both sides, because it is so bad. Well, when you took your first step, you were born. All those other steps you're living. When you touch that gate and you look up and it's straight up, that's when you find out you're dying. And going up those last few steps is dying until you get to the top, and that's death. And that's the end of your life. There's no going back. When you get to that gate, there is no way you want to go back down. You've got to finish. Why? What's waiting at the top? Pineapple ice cream. That's waiting at the top for those that finish. Now, in life, sometimes you find out, like my father did, 13 months in advance, you're dying. Sometimes you find out real quickly. My first wife's father, he died a couple weeks ago. His wife saw him at 4 in the garage. When she went out at 4:20, he was laying there dead. My first Mrs. Prescott, my first wife, Mrs. Prescott's first husband. 1 minute they were there, and the next minute they weren't. So their set of stairs was very short. No notice. Maybe they only had one. But today, all of you had hundreds. And you got to live it and feel it and wish it was over. You didn't want to look back because it was too scary. All you could do is look ahead. And so in real life, you live this whole life. And at the top, there are two gates. One's narrow and one's wide. One wide gate, there is no ice cream, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing up there. You get to the gate, it's pretty, it's shiny. It looks like Bing Zhong Dao on New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. Everybody's there. It sounds like half of the 11 million population of Tianjin are on this street. It's noisy, there's smell of food, everybody's happy. Sure, you're guarding a wallet to make sure you don't get your pocket picked or your iPhone stolen. But everybody's going along and it's all party time. But for the one who believes in Jesus, the gate is very different. The gate is not pretty. It's a narrow way. It's nothing. It doesn't look like anything special. Most of you came up the whole 4,000 steps with somebody. That made it easier. Somebody to talk to. You didn't have to focus on your own pain. You could encourage them. Some of you, 3 of you I saw, came up those last half dozen steps, arm in arm, trotting up together. That's cool. And that's also very biblical. If you're on the wide gate, going up towards the wide gate on those wide set of stairs, and it's all pretty and there's lots of noise and really crowded, You're crowded, but you're more alone than anyone you can imagine. You just don't understand it. And when you get to the gate and you're expecting to have pineapple ice cream, you find there's nothing but a drop-off. And behind that gate is hell. And once you cross the gate, there's no going back. On the other hand, many of you really enjoyed the ice cream. I told you all year long, when you get to the top, you're going to find the world's greatest ice cream. And that's what's awaiting you. We fix our eyes on Jesus. That's how we get to the top. He's not just there waiting for us. He's there alongside of us, walking all the way up 4,000 steps when you know him. And so when you get to the top of the gate, it is indeed the world's greatest ice cream. It's the pineapple ice cream that only God can make. And it's called heaven. There's no drop-off. Ladies and gentlemen, you just lived an entire life. You can take those last few steps any way you want to. You can live your life any way you want to. There's no going back. You can go up with someone, or you can go up alone. There's no other way. The only one that's worth going up with is Jesus. In Jesus' time, there was a road between Jericho and Jerusalem. There wasn't room for 5 people side by side, arm in arm. There was room for one. Single file. It's called the Jericho Road. When I was a kid, we had a song in church. We sang about it all the time. In the Jericho Road, there's room for just 2. Jesus and you. Nobody else. You have to do it alone. But you don't have to do it alone. It just, people on the outside look like they see you doing it alone. But you're never alone. Because Jesus is there. So, this is life. You just lived it. My prayer is God never takes Tyshawn out of your memory. Someday, Tyshawn, somebody will say something about mountains, and you'll remember, have you ever climbed a mountain? Oh, yeah, I climbed a mountain once. Oh, did you use ropes and pylons and all that stuff? No. There were 4,000 ugly steps up. You don't even talk about the 4,000 steps down. That's not what counts. It's the 4,000 steps up. And when we got to the top, we had the world's greatest pineapple ice cream. And that's something that'll live in your life the whole time. But the question is, that's the way you're living your life right now. You guys are 13 years old. If the average person lives 65 years, that's 1/5. 4,000 steps. That means right now, at your age, you're on step 800. You have 3,200 steps to go. Now, I can guarantee that you might die in the next minute. All of us might. You might live to be 100. Jesus might come tonight and take us out of here, and those of you that don't know him, you're stuck. But let's just assume you're going to live to be 65 and then keel over dead. You have 3,200 steps left. How are you going up? You may go up in a crowd, but you're going alone. Or you can go with Jesus and never be alone. That's what he took care of on the cross. He made it possible to go up this mountain of life successfully. Now, the steps are exactly the same. They're hard, they're ugly, at times painful. And when you get to that last gate, before you get to the top, you look up there, and it doesn't seem possible. You don't know how you're going to get through it. And you know what? You can't. But he can. So, choose how you live your life. We're not here to make you Christians. Although, I would if I could, but that wouldn't do any good. You have to choose. You choose every day. All I did was take reverse away from you. You could take 7 hours to get up that thing. One of you took 36 minutes. Some of you took 2 hours. That's fine. That was all part of life. Some of your lives seem to last longer. But I'm going to tell you, in 3 days from now, you're all going to be in the same pain. No matter how fast you went up. So Tyshawn is part of your life. Your life is real. Tyshawn is not real. Tyshawn's just an analogy for what you're living right now, and the way you're living, and the way you're going to die. And I offer you an opportunity not to die alone.